Okay, it's a long background because it covers over 45 years. I started with SAS in 1974, and that was in the same kind of position that you hold. I was a research analyst for the West Virginia Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. And since it was our campus shared a campus with one of the branches of West Virginia University, they happen to have this program on their mainframe called the Statistical Analysis System. And the way we were able to do our analyses is type them out on a bunch of IBM cards, bring them over to the computer center, run them, lo and behold, and we get our analyses. And I was doing that to support my obtaining a master's degree at Marshall University. And all of my degrees, BS, MS, and PhD, have all been in psychology or educational psychology. And so I received a very strong background in statistics, along with psychology and psychological research. And so having a tool to do the analyses, back then especially, you're talking 1974, so up until I learned SAS, the main tool that we had was what's called a rotary calculator, which you've probably never even seen, to where you actually had to crank a machine as many times as you needed decimal places analyzed. And if you wanted to do any kind of factor analysis, you actually had to do it by using index cards and hanging them from the ceiling. SAS made things a little bit easier. My background since then, like I said, I continued to work because I didn't go to school before the military. Spent 4 years in the U.S. Air Force. And when I got out, decided I really ought to go back to school if I wanted to get into a career that I'd enjoy. And so I did, and I went back and got a bachelor's, master's, and PhD. And my first position after getting my PhD was as an institutional researcher in Michigan at Mott Community College in Flint, Michigan. And my experience during all that time depended upon what software a company or institution happened to be using. And so I've been through a number of positions, and so it included using SAS to begin with. When I went with Mott Community College, they were using SPSS, so I had to become an expert in SPSS. And the same thing held true when I was working for the state of Michigan. And following that, I became a director of research for an independent contractor. And at that time, neither SAS nor SPSS had come up with a Windows version, but Windows had just come out. The PC had just been invented. And so we had to write our own software. So we had a staff of 25 people, I think 10 of which who were programmers. And we wrote our own analytical software and routines back then, beginning with the basic language, and then we moved to Pascal. And then sometime during my career, I met my wife, who happened to live in Toronto and moved here. And became the director of, I forgot the name of the position. It was the director, I think, of data management. Well, we were responsible for, and this was back in 1999, I believe. And I was working for the insurance industry in Canada, and I was responsible for the office that set the automobile insurance rates and the relationship of my background to how all of that. We set automobile insurance rates using predictive modeling. We use SAS to analyze the claims history for all insurers throughout the country, public and private, and use SAS to create a system that allowed us to analyze all the data every year, seeing what the risk, both in terms of frequency of claims and cost of those claims. And every insurer in the country adopted, and as a matter of fact still uses, that model and that system. I'm not involved anymore because I am now retired and on a separate retirement venture, which we'll get into later if you're interested. But in a nutshell, that's been my background. I've worked in numerous industries and areas, going back in the beginning, like I said, institutional research, and then moving on to educational evaluation. We were contracted to for a number of years to analyze the status and how well they were achieving their goals for Michigan Department of Education, Texas Department of Education, and then since we had a background that most people didn't have, and at the time when I was living in Michigan, and that's when they had numerous layoffs in all the industries. Most industries were downsizing, and we wrote the programs. This was not using SAS. This was using Pascal to manage the matching for the outplacement efforts, and we did all the outplacements for Stroh Brewery, General Motors, Ford Motors, Chrysler, and Allied Industries, Time Life Magazine, just to name a few of the folks we did it for. We handled all of their outplacements. What we did was wrote code that matched what employers were looking for and what the employees of those various companies' skills were. And that led on to our getting deeply involved with those industries because they liked what we were doing. They didn't have anything else that did it. And so we were hired to design the same and manage the same systems for handling their employee training and their tuition assistance programs. So in short, I've had a nice, interesting career that looked at numerous areas, and primarily my background was to find solutions for problems.